All right, welcome back. And our special guest tonight is Dr. Marcus Rothermich. He is a team doctor and is on the sidelines a lot with Pinson and Hewitt Trussville. And Docs, glad to have you here tonight.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So you got to see some pretty good talent this year.
I've been spoiled, no doubt. We were just talking before the show, and you guys alluded to this in the first couple segments about how good of a season it's been for a lot of the local teams. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. When we started this season, we didn't know how far we'd get into the season. This is an unusual year, and so that first game we were at Hewitt Trussville and Pinson and saying, well, we'll see if we get to week 2 or 3, and here we are, playoffs. So it's definitely glad to be through it this year.
You bring up an interesting point, because when we started the season, we talked to coaches and they said, yeah, we think we're going to start not really confident about finishing the season, but talk about some of the things that these programs have done all over the place to kind of keep their season going.
Yeah, it's been certainly interesting to watch the evolution of it throughout the season. Nobody knew how this was going to go when we got started. This is something that, like you said, everybody was a little skeptical in August of if we'd get to mid-November and be still playing. And we've had a couple little isolated pockets of schools that have lost some games. We cover Aniana, and they lost a couple games. Vestavia, there have been a few that have had little outbreaks that have been contained. But it's been a kind of a week by week, just kind of see how this plays out. Schools have done a great job with testing. Sometimes that's been knowing more than you want to know with some of the contact tracing and some of the players that have been disqualified from some of that. So the technology and the process of it has been something that's evolved since August until now. And so glad to get through the next few weeks and get through the playoffs, and hopefully these teams continue to keep playing each Friday night.
Absolutely.
I got a question about just youth sports in general, since I've got 2 that play youth sports. Yeah. Okay. We hear a lot and have read a lot about baseball injuries at a young age. Mm-hmm. Your opinion on playing one sport, or let's use baseball for an example. Yeah. Playing baseball all season long. Good idea, bad idea?
It's something it's a great question. It's a hot topic that's controversial for sure. It's one thing we've learned a lot about in the last 10 to 15 years. Originally, if you talk to somebody who went through the high school process several years ago, may have been 3 sport athletes, and that was just kind of the norm. And so that has definitely changed in our culture, especially in this part of the country, in recent years. The emergence of the single sport athlete has been something that's been new. Recently, something that we've learned a lot about over the last several years. One thing that we've looked at, so I did a study looking at Tommy John injuries specifically in Division I college baseball players. And so we've learned that these are epidemic level numbers, where we thought initially, just from projecting old numbers, that there may have been 40 or 50 Tommy John surgeries in college baseball per year. And we found out that last year there were 230, and so way more than we knew existed. And so by uncovering some of that through the research, we could kind of roll the clock back and figure out, how does this happen? Where does the damage to the elbow happen, or the shoulder? And we've learned that a lot of these kids who are now in college have played baseball for 15 years, and that's it. And so that's something that is really different. And we've noticed a big change too. We used to see a lot more numbers in the South, in the warmer weather states, because you could play year-round. And that's a big part of it, is if you play year-round, we've shown pretty conclusively that you get hurt more often. Mm-hmm. But now we've seen those numbers equilibrate between northern states, colder weather states, and the southern states, the warmer states. And the reason is just with technology, the emergence of some of these facilities where you can play year-round indoor in the snow in Syracuse, New York, and still play throughout the whole year, that those numbers have started to equilibrate. So all that research that we've done at ASMI has really shown that injuries happen the more time throughout the year you play. And so that's one of the things that Dr. Andrews preached, and it's kind of trickled down for all of us in the practice at Andrews, is take time off, at least 1 season off, 3 months preferably, and play other sports. Multi-sport athletes tend to get hurt less often.
Well, that's good to know. So.